Hi, it's Mitz. Thank you very much for stopping by. In this video, I wanted to share with you 3 spreads that I create for the Junk Journal January challenge, which is hosted by the very talented Meg Journals, and she's actually in collaboration this month with Get Messy Art. And she created a lovely challenge list which is absolutely free. I will leave the information linked down below. So I thought I would kind of start off with sharing with you some of my older journals. I did a slower paced, more in-depth look at these journals in the past in the previous video, several videos back, so if you wanted to take a look at that. But in this video, my prompt for today is routine, and I did create 3 different spreads which I will share with you the process of. There are definitely days in my life where I feel like I don't have anything interesting or anything special to journal about. I have the same routine every single day. I wake up, get the kids ready, they go to school, and I work, and then same thing over and over. And there are definitely days where I feel like a journal slump. So in a journal slump, I specifically chose this prompt routine so that I can kind of get my creativity flowing. I hope this video inspires you in some way. Here I'm going to be doing a journaling spread in this junk journal that was created by my lovely friend. I'm sorry she does not have a shop open or anything, so I apologize, but I wanted to just use basic, simple things that I had on hand. And in this case, for this spread, I had a paper envelope that was part of some packaging, and I thought, why not use this? So this page spread has a lot of writing. It has pages from an old book, and it might be a little bit difficult to journal on top of that. You can, of course, journal on top of that directly on it, but I thought I would use or rip up this paper bag that I had and journal on top of the paper bag. And so here I am. I am grabbing the brush pen and just doing some very simple doodling, and thought I would do a quick journal spread about my routine. It doesn't have to be something eventful or something exciting to journal. You can write about anything you want. If you don't even feel like writing, you can maybe search up a favorite quote or an excerpt from some book that you are reading, and you can put that in your journal instead. Here I'm sharing with you my latest hobby, which is knitting, and so in the morning I will definitely 100% have my coffee, and then in the evening routine, I will add journaling here and there, but as of late I've just been knitting a lot, and so I took up my knitting, and I'm trying to replicate this in a drawing, which is not very good, but it's all part of the process, and I really wanted this journal spread to be light and fun. So I just have a simple brush pen, some paper from old paper bag, some packaging, and I'm going to stick this in my junk journal. I wanted to have certain layering aspect to it. I also wanted to have some color added to the page, so I grabbed some color paper that I had lying around. It doesn't have to be color paper, it could be anything. It could be a scrap piece from your newspaper, or maybe a scrap piece from a magazine or a newsletter that you have. I just wanted to add some kind of something different in the background, and so this is what I decided to do. I used the other bit of the envelope, and I will be doing my actual writing journaling on top of that part, and I ripped out this coffee drawing or doodle. I'm just using, I'm not using any scissors. I kind of like that ripped, rugged edge. And you'll see later on that I end up misplacing that doodle, and then I end up finding it again, but that's where those 3 spreads come in, and I'll show you that later. So here is the Hobonichi Techo. This is in the A6 size. I've done this many times in the past. I will flip through some notebooks, and if I'm not using certain pages or papers, I will actually rip them out. Not too close to the spine, but just enough that's left on the page there, and I will actually rip out the unused papers so that I can use them for my journal spreads in other journals. I hope I'm making sense. But yeah, I hope you don't feel the need to have to buy like, you know, another notebook or other paper pads. I think it's always fun to look and see what you have in your stash to see if there's something that can be used. I ended up ripping out a sheet from my traveler's notebook, and I used that one because it's kind of like a cream colored paper, and so I've decided to do that and stick that in there. I of course am grabbing some washi tape and decided to cut the thick roll into, I split it in half, and I tend to do that often if there's like a heading on a page or some sort of, not really focal point, but something to kind of start the page off. I end up using washi tape to border it and add, of course, layers to it. And here is where I think I'm looking through to see where I've misplaced the doodle of the coffee cup. I didn't want to take up too much of your time, so I ended up just actually drawing right on top of it with the same brush pen here, and it's very rough, but I wanted to do a very simple journal spread. So here I'm writing AM routine, and I will show you a close-up of me actually journaling about this in this video. Of course, I need to add a little bit of color, a little bit more color here and there, so I'm using some markers to add some little dots. I'm really enjoying this peach color from this set. I often use it in my Hobonichi, and I find a lot of times I'll use color to also outline, and if I have a doodle on a doodle spread, or like I said, not really a focal point, but something where you want your eyes to go to, I will definitely do an outline with some marker. So here is where I journal about my AM routine and my morning coffee. Something that is a must is some toast with my coffee. I almost 100% will have peanut butter and something. So it could be peanut butter and honey or peanut butter and jelly. There's also this very nice cinnamon sugar type of spread, or like sprinkle, and I'll do that as well just to add something sweet. Anyways, enough about my breakfast and food. This is the completed look for the junk journal spread in my A5 junk journal. I will have 2 more spreads later on in the video. But yes, I hope this gave you some ideas how you can use maybe some supplies that you already have, or packaging that you already have that you can reuse in your journal spreads. This one is very basic. It's one of those very basic coil bound notebooks, those really simple ones that you need just to jot down some ideas and things. So I've decided to use this to create very quick and fast, like mini type of junk journal spreads, or just journaling spreads, very simple ones. I decided to take out my stamps, and I'm using that same exact piece of paper that I ripped out from the traveler's notebook, and I decided to stamp out the word routine. You see me kind of doing like the 2nd generation, 3rd generation stamping on the bottom corner there, and I tend to do this often, and I will use that as background paper, things that a piece of paper that I can use for another different type of journal spread. instead of wasting that ink that I already have on the rubber stamp, I'll just stamp it out on a separate piece and use that as a border, or yeah, in another journal spread, and it will come in handy. So this is where I grabbed the paper that I ripped out from the Hobonichi. I don't know if some of you are cringing and thinking about, oh my gosh, I can't believe she ripped that out, but I am not using the papers, some of the papers in the back, and I didn't want to go to waste, and so I do this often, where I will take out papers from other notebooks and use them in other journal spreads. So I used that as a background to add something fun to the back, because the paper itself is quite plain. I mean, there are some lines, but I wanted to, of course, add layers. I enjoy adding layers, especially for like headings, and I mentioned that before too, with the washi tape and having various layers. But so I put down the Hobonichi paper, and then I grabbed that craft tape, and I stapled the PM and the word routine together. And a staple is another quick way to add something fun to the paper. I know many people will use the sewing machine and will create nice little clusters, and I've done that in the past as well, where I kind of take some time to sew together various types of papers and have paper clusters kind of prepared in advance. But in this case, yeah, I just stapled that together. I add, of course, some washi tape, a bit of washi tape on the edges there, and I was going to create a tab with that piece of paper hanging out, but I decided not to do that. I'm just using every bit of paper that I have from the Hobonichi, and using every single bit of washi tape too, as well. And I'm tearing out the doodle that I originally did on the scrap paper, or the envelope. And as you can see already there, because the notebook is smaller in size, the journal spread is pretty much almost finished. I didn't want to stick the whole thing down, and then I was kind of contemplating maybe I should put it in my Hobonichi, and then I ended up finding this picture stuck in my Hobonichi, and it's a picture of the shawl that I am currently working on. If you are a knitter or interested in knitting, I'm working on the anthology throw by Helen Stewart, and I'm using some yarn from a yarn advent that I purchased here in Japan. So the doodle of the knitting that I have, I didn't stick down the whole doodle. I just added some adhesive to the corner so that I can flip it up and do the actual journaling part behind it. And then the photo is just going to be, I guess, like a freely kind of floating around, and I will end up tucking it right under there, as you can see, right under the word routine. And that's how I will just finish off this spread in a very simple flip, what is this called? The coil bound notebook. And yeah, because of the size of it, it just finished up very, very quickly. Just to finish it off, of course, I'm using that same marker again to add some circles, the peach marker, to add some color and circles. And this is the final two spreads that I did with the brush marker and the paper bag. And then at the end, I was cleaning up, and then I found the doodle, the first doodle of the coffee mug that I did in the beginning. It was stashed, it was stuck under some papers, and I didn't want it to go to waste. And so this is, I guess, like a third journal spread, but I've used the same concepts in this journal spread, where I grab the brush marker to add a heading. I grab the paper, the color paper in the back, to add some color to the paper, and then I will use that same marker again to outline the doodle, and that makes the doodle kind of pop out more. I took out the mint, and then I realized it's probably not really showing up on camera, so I went back to my peach, my go-to marker, and I added some color to the edges of the doodle. And that's pretty much it. I hope the spreads that I shared with you gave you some fun ideas. Don't be afraid to use papers from notebooks that you are no longer using, or if maybe you're finished with. And of course, use the packaging that you already have, and use that to journal in your spreads. And I hope you had fun. Please let me know down below if you had a favorite out of one of these three spreads. I would love to know what you think. But I will see you soon. And once again, a big, huge shout out and thank you to Meg Journals for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.